November, frost clings to the manicured lawn. A sprawling brick estate sits behind wrought iron gates, the kind of house that screams new money trying to look like old money. 3 luxury cars in the driveway, a leased Porsche 911, a BMW X7, and a weathered 1998 Ford F-150 that looks like it wandered into the wrong neighborhood. Morning light filters through floor-to-ceiling windows, casting long shadows across Italian marble countertops. The kitchen is a showroom. Sub-Zero appliances, Wolf range, copper pots hanging from a rack that's never been used for actual cooking. Demetrio Thomas, 72, stands at the coffee maker. Silver hair, calloused hands, wire-rimmed glasses perched on a nose that's been broken and reset. He wears a faded flannel shirt, Carhartt, not Brooks Brothers, and work boots that have actually seen work. His hands are steady as he measures coffee grounds, the hands of a man who spent 40 years ensuring skyscrapers didn't fall down. The espresso machine hisses. Demetrio pours himself a cup in a plain ceramic mug, the only one in a cabinet full of Wedgwood china. A thick folder of documents hits Demetrio's chest. Papers scatter. He doesn't flinch, just watches the folder slide down his shirt and hit the cold marble floor with a heavy thud. Kyle Bradford, 38, stands 3 feet away, breathing hard. Expensive 3-piece suit. Tom Ford, probably. Rolex Submariner catching the light. Fake tan that costs more per session than Demetrio's monthly grocery bill. His hair is gelled back in that way that's supposed to look effortless, but takes 20 minutes and $80 of product. Kyle, voice cracking. Sign the papers, Demetrio. Not Dad, not even Sir. Just the name, flat and cold. Demetrio bends down slowly. His knees pop, a sound that echoes in the cavernous kitchen. He picks up the documents. The cover page reads, Second mortgage application, Lake Geneva property. Interest rate, 8.5%. The kind of rate that's not just high. It's predatory. Financial suicide. Demetrio, voice low, steady. No, Kyle. Kyle, stepping closer. We need the equity from that house by 3 o'clock today. By 3 o'clock, old man, or the deal falls through. Demetrio. What deal, Kyle? That's not your concern. Your concern is signing that line right there. Jabs finger at signature page. And keeping your mouth shut. Demetrio looks at the papers, then at Kyle. Really looks at him, sees the sweat beating on his forehead despite the air conditioning set to a crisp 68 degrees, sees the slight tremor in his hands, the desperation. Demetrio. I told you last week, Kyle, the answer is no. You're over-leveraged. This structure can't support any more weight. He speaks like the structural engineer he is, 40 years calculating loads and stresses, ensuring buildings in downtown Chicago didn't collapse under their own weight. He knows a failing structure when he sees one. Kyle is a building on the verge of implosion. Kyle, stepping into Demetrio's space. You don't get to tell me about leverage, you old parasite. You live under my roof. You eat my food. You exist because I allow it. Demetrio almost laughs. His roof. Demetrio bought this house 5 years ago, paid cash $850,000 when Courtney said they needed more space for a family they never started. He let them put their names on the mailbox because he wanted his daughter to feel proud, to feel secure, now that security was being weaponized against him. Demetrio, placing folder on counter. I'm not signing, Kyle, and I'm not a parasite. I pay for the groceries. I pay the utilities. I mow the lawn that you're too important to touch. That's when the dam breaks. Demetrio sees it in Kyle's eyes first, a flash of pure, unadulterated rage. Kyle is not used to being told no. He's a man who lives on credit and false promises, and Demetrio is the only reality check he has left. Kyle's hand moves fast, faster than expected for a man who's never done a day of physical labor in his life. The backhand connects hard with Demetrio's right cheek. The sound is sickeningly loud in the quiet kitchen, like a dry branch snapping in winter. The force knocks Demetrio's head to the side. His glasses, wire-rimmed aviators he's worn since supervising concrete pours at Willis Tower, fly off his face. They skitter across the marble floor and hit the refrigerator base with a crunch. Demetrio stands there, frozen. His cheek burns like he's been touched by a welding torch, but he doesn't fall, doesn't cry out, just stands there, tasting the copper tang of blood where his tooth cut the inside of his lip. He slowly turns his head back, looks at Kyle. Kyle is breathing heavily, his hand still raised slightly, surprised by his own violence, but there's no regret in his eyes, only a dare. He's waiting for the old man to crumble, to beg. But Demetrio isn't looking at Kyle. He's looking past him. Courtney Thomas, 34, stands in the doorway to the dining room. Designer pantsuit, Armani probably. Hair and makeup perfect, ready for her job as HR director at Wellington Industries. She saw everything. She saw her husband strike her 72-year-old father. Demetrio waits. Waits for her to scream. Waits for her to run to him. Waits for the little girl he carried on his shoulders to defend the man who worked double shifts to pay her college tuition. Courtney takes a sip from her travel mug, doesn't look at him, looks at her watch. Courtney, sighing, "Dad, you really provoked him this time. You know how much stress Kyle is under with the market shifting. Why do you have to be so difficult? Just sign the papers so we can have some peace." Demetrio's heart, which had been hammering against his ribs, suddenly goes still. A cold stillness, like the silence after a building demolition when the dust begins to settle. He looks at his daughter. Really looks at her. This is not the girl who cried when she found a wounded bird in the yard. This is a stranger who has chosen her side. She values the lifestyle more than his dignity. She's not a victim. She's an accomplice. Demetrio walks slowly to where his glasses lay, bends down, picks them up. One lens is cracked right down the middle. The frame is bent. These glasses survive Chicago winters, construction site accidents, 40 years of wear. Tough, but they finally broke under the weight of his family's greed. He puts them in his shirt pocket, wipes the trickle of blood from his mouth with the back of his hand. Looks at Kyle. Kyle is puffing his chest out, empowered by his wife's support. Kyle. "Well, you gonna sign or do I have to teach you another lesson?" Demetrio looks him dead in the eye. Summons the same authority he used when firing negligent contractors on job sites. Keeps his voice low. Calm. Terrifyingly calm. Demetrio. "You made your point, Kyle." Kyle, sneering. "Good. So sign it." Demetrio. "I can't sign it now. You rattled me. I need to calm down. I need to think." Kyle. "You don't have time to—" Demetrio, interrupting. "Tonight. We'll settle this at dinner." Kyle narrows his eyes, suspicious. "Kyle, dinner?" Demetrio. "Yes, I'll cook. A special meal. A celebration. If I'm going to sign away the lake house, I want to do it properly. You bring the papers. Bring your lawyer, that man Dawson. I want everything legal." Kyle laughs, cruel, barking. Kyle. "Look at that, Courtney. The old dog finally learned a new trick." Obedience. Courtney walks over and kisses Kyle's cheek, ignores Demetrio completely. Courtney. "See, babe, I told you he'd come around. He just needs a firm hand. A firm hand. That's what she calls assault." Kyle, checking his reflection in microwave. "Fine. Have dinner ready by 7, and try not to burn it this time. Make something expensive. I feel like celebrating." They grab their briefcases, walk out without looking back. Demetrio hears the garage door open, the roar of Kyle's leased Porsche as they speed away to their important lives, leaving the old man behind to lick his wounds. Silence. Demetrio stands alone, touches his cheek. It's throbbing. Will bruise by evening. Good. He wants the bruise, wants them to see it. They think he's defeated, think he's a senile old man who's been broken by fear. They see cracked glasses and a bleeding lip. They don't know they just cracked the foundation of their entire world. Demetrio walks to the basement door. His legs feel stronger with every step. The stairs creak under his weight. The air down here is cooler, smelling of dry concrete and old paper. This is where Demetrio keeps his real life. The office is small, unfinished, exposed beams, concrete floor. They call it the dungeon. They never come down here. That's their mistake. Arrogance creates blind spots. Demetrio sits at his steel drafting table, salvaged from a demolition site in the 90s, runs his hand over the smooth metal surface. Underneath, beneath a worn Persian rug that Kathleen bought 40 years ago, is a floor safe. He pulls back the rug. The safe is old, solid steel, encased directly into the foundation. He poured the concrete around it himself. When he told Kyle about it years ago, he said it just held insurance policies and sentimental junk. Kyle laughed, never asked again, too busy looking for quick digital transfers to care about a mechanical lock. Demetrio spins the dial, left, right, left. The tumblers click. The heavy door swings open. He reaches inside. No insurance policies. He pulls out a thick stack of documents, the blueprints of Kyle's destruction. First document, forensic accounting report. Commissioned 3 months ago from Jack Morrison, ex-FBI white-collar crimes investigator. It traces every dollar Kyle siphoned from family accounts. 300 pages of financial malfeasance. Second document, copy of a forged withdrawal slip, his 401k. $180,000 gone. The signature is good. Kyle practiced, but not perfect. The T in Thomas has a double loop. Kyle only did it once. Third document, the most damning. Printed email thread between Kyle and a group of short sellers. Kyle is leaking false information about structural defects in Wellington Tower, a building Demetrio consulted on 20 years ago. Kyle's trying to drive Wellington Industries' stock price down. Bet against it. Make a fortune. He's willing to destroy Demetrio's professional reputation, his legacy, just to cover gambling debts. Demetrio looks at the papers. This isn't family dispute anymore. This is securities fraud, market manipulation, federal felony. He reaches back into the safe, pulls out a rolled tube of paper, unrolls it on the desk. It's the original structural schematic of the house above him. He looks at the load-bearing walls, the foundation points. Kyle thinks he's the master of this house. Demetrio knows exactly where the weak points are, knows exactly where to place the charges for controlled demolition. Finally, he reaches into the back of the safe, pulls out a small, cheap flip phone, a burner, bought with cash at a gas station 2 towns over. Kyle monitors the landline, monitors the family cell plan. Thought he was smart. Demetrio powers on the phone, battery full. He dials a number memorized long ago. It rings once, twice. A deep, gravelly voice answers on the third ring. Robert, VO. Filtered through phone. This line is for emergencies only. Demetrio. Hello, Robert. It's Demetrio. Pause on the other end. The tone changes, softens, but retains steel edge. Robert, VO. Uncle Demetrio. I've been waiting for this call. Is it done? Demetrio, looking at bruise and window reflection. It's done. He crossed the line today, got physical. And Courtney, she stood by and watched, sharp intake of breath on the other end. Robert, VO. Are you safe? Do I need to send a car now? Demetrio. No, not now. If you arrest him now, he'll claim it's a misunderstanding. Say I'm a senile old man who got confused. We need him to commit to the lie. We need him to feel safe. Robert, VO. What's the plan? Demetrio. He's coming back tonight at 7, bringing Dawson, his lawyer. They're going to force me to sign a second mortgage on the Lake Geneva property. They think I'm broken, think I'll sign everything over. Robert, VO. Dawson is coming? That slippery eel. We've been trying to pin something on him for years. If he's there facilitating a fraudulent loan, that's conspiracy. Demetrio. Exactly. That's why we wait. I'm cooking dinner, making it a celebration. I want them relaxed. Arrogant. Robert, VO. Okay, I'll have a team in place. Demetrio. No team yet, just you. I want you to come to dinner, as my guest. An old chess partner. Wear a dark suit. Look intimidating, but say nothing. I want him to wonder who you are until it's too late. Pause. Demetrio continued. And Robert, call Victoria Wellington. Robert, VO, surprised. The CEO, Demetrio. Yes, tell her the man trying to tank her stock is serving roast beef at 7 o'clock. Tell her I have the proof she needs to save her company and bury Kyle Bradford. Long silence. Then a low chuckle. Dark, satisfied. Robert, VO. You're putting Kyle Dawson, a federal prosecutor, and the CEO of the company he's sabotaging all at the same dinner table? Demetrio. That's the plan. Robert, VO. Uncle Demetrio, that's not a dinner party. That's an execution. Demetrio, touching bruised cheek. It's a controlled demolition, Robert, and the fuse is lit. Robert, VO. I'll be there, 7 o'clock sharp. Demetrio hangs up, powers down the phone, puts it back in the safe, but leaves the door unlocked. He'll need those documents soon. He sits there for a moment in the quiet of the basement. His cheek throbs, pulsing in time with his heartbeat. He touches the rough concrete wall of the foundation. Kyle thinks he's weak because he's old, thinks he's stupid because he worked with his hands. Kyle forgot that before you build a skyscraper, you dig a hole, get down in the dirt, understand the pressure. Demetrio stands, work to do, market to visit, wine to buy. He walks up the stairs, leaving the darkness behind. The game has changed. They're playing checkers, moving pieces around, trying to steal a little money here and there. Demetrio is playing structural engineering, and he's about to pull the pin on the whole foundation. Fade to black. The '98 Ford F-150 rumbles to life with a cough and shake that rattles teeth. An honest sound. No computers hiding flaws or cheating emissions tests. Just iron, oil, combustion. Real, unlike the plastic world Kyle inhabits. Demetrio backs out of the driveway, tires crunching gravel, catches a glimpse of the mansion in his rear view. It looks like a fortress, monument to new money and bad taste. He poured the foundation himself, ensured it would stand 100 years, never knowing he was building the prison where Kathleen would die and his dignity would be stripped away. He drives toward the city. As Demetrio drives, his mind drifts back. 6 months of careful planning. 6 months of building a case while pretending to be the senile old fool they thought he was. Flashback. 6 months ago, June. Demetrio sits at his desk reading his 401k statement, frowning. There's a withdrawal he doesn't remember making. $180,000. Gone. He picks up the phone, dials his bank. Demetrio, into phone. This is Demetrio Thomas, account number 44729. I'm looking at a withdrawal from June 3rd that I didn't authorize. Bank rep, VO. Let me pull that up, Mr. Thomas. Yes, I see it here. Withdrawal of $180,000 wire transfer to Bradford Capital LLC. Your signature is on file. Demetrio. That's not my signature. Bank rep, VO. Sir, our system verified it. The signature matches. Demetrio. Quiet, firm. Send me a copy of that signature. Today. He hangs up. Sits in the dark, thinking. Flashback. July. Demetrio's truck pulls into a nondescript strip mall. Parks in front of Morrison Investigations. Discreet, professional, results, interior. Morrison Investigations office. Continuous small office. Filing cabinets, coffee maker. Behind a cluttered desk sits Jack Morrison, 58, ex-FBI, built like a fire hydrant, gray buzz cut, eyes that miss nothing. Jack, gesturing to chair. Demetrio Thomas, haven't seen you since the Willis Tower project. What brings you to my humble establishment? Demetrio sits. Slides an envelope across the desk. Demetrio. My son-in-law is stealing from me. I need to know how much and what else he's doing. Jack opens the envelope, looks at the forged withdrawal slip. Jack, whistling low. That's a felony. You want to press charges? Demetrio. Not yet. I want to know everything first, how deep it goes, who else is involved. Jack. This won't be cheap. Demetrio, sliding another envelope. 10,000, cash, retainer. There's more if you need it. Jack looks at him with new respect. Jack. You want full surveillance? Financial forensics? Demetrio. Everything. I want to know every move he makes, every dollar he spends. I want to know what he's planning. Jack, leaning back. How long do I have? Demetrio. However long it takes to build a case that's airtight. I only get one shot at this. Flashback. August. Jack Morrison sits across from Demetrio, spreading documents on the drafting table. Jack. Your son-in-law is not just a thief, Demetrio. He's running a full-blown fraud operation. He points to a chart showing financial transactions. Jack continued. He set up shell companies in the Cayman Islands, routing money through them to hide the source. And here's the kicker. Taps another document. He's taken massive short positions against Wellington Industries. We're talking $50 million of leveraged bets. Demetrio, going still. Wellington? That's where Courtney works. Jack, exactly. Conflict of interest at minimum, possibly insider trading, but it gets worse. He slides over another document, printed emails. Jack. Continued. He's planning something called a bear raid. He's going to leak false information about structural defects in Wellington Tower. Claims the original engineer, that's you, took bribes, approved substandard concrete. Demetrio's hands clench into fists. Jack continued. Stock crashes, he makes 30, maybe 40 million. Meanwhile, your professional reputation is destroyed. Long silence. Demetrio, voice cold. Keep digging. I want every email, every transaction, every conversation. And Jack, I need you to do something else. Jack. Name it, Demetrio. I need audio surveillance of his home office. Can you do it legally? Jack. Not without a warrant, but if you were to contact a federal prosecutor and they were to get a warrant based on probable cause. Demetrio, nodding slowly. I know someone. Flashback. September. Impressive. All granite and glass, American flags, security checkpoints. Demetrio sits in a conference room. Across from him, Robert Callahan, 55, U.S. Attorney for Northern District of Illinois. Tall, commanding presence, silver hair, sharp suit, but his eyes are warm when he looks at Demetrio. Robert. Uncle Demetrio, when you said you needed to talk, I thought maybe you wanted to grab lunch, not this. He's looking at the stack of documents Demetrio brought. Demetrio. How bad is it? Robert, reading. Wire fraud, securities fraud, identity theft, elder abuse, conspiracy to commit fraud. If even half of this holds up, your son-in-law is looking at 20 years federal time. Demetrio. And his lawyer? Arthur Dawson? Robert, smiling coldly. We've had our eye on Dawson for years. Slippery bastard always stays just clean enough, but if we can catch him actively facilitating a fraud, conspiracy charges, disbarment, maybe 5 to 10 years. Demetrio. I want them both, and I want it airtight, no loopholes, no technicalities. Robert, leaning forward. Here's how this works. I can get a warrant based on the evidence you've provided. We place legal surveillance, but we need Kyle to continue. We need him to commit the crimes while we're watching. Demetrio. How long? Robert. 2-3 months. Let him get comfortable. Let him think he's untouchable. Then we spring the trap. Demetrio. He's planning to have me declared incompetent, put me in a state facility. Robert's face hardens. Robert. Then we move before he can. But Demetrio, are you sure? This is your daughter's husband. She'll lose everything. Demetrio, touching the place where Bruce will be. She already made her choice. Flashback, October FB. Technicians installing tiny surveillance devices, professional, efficient. FBI tech, showing Demetrio's small microphone. These are voice-activated, court-authorized. Everything recorded is admissible. We've placed them in the dining room, living room, and his office. Demetrio. He won't find them? FBI tech. Not unless he's looking. And based on the profile, your son-in-law thinks he's the smartest guy in every room. He won't be looking. Back to present. Demetrio pulls into Whole Foods parking lot. His rusted bumper looks out of place next to the Teslas and Range Rovers. He parks crooked, taking up 2 spaces. Let them stare. Automatic doors slide open. Blast of refrigerated air. Smell of organic produce and overpriced flowers. Demetrio grabs a cart, one without a wobbling wheel. Precision matters today. He goes straight to the butcher counter. Glass case illuminated like jewelry display. Inside, on beds of crushed ice, cuts of meat that cost more than his first car. Demetrio, pointing. That one, the Wagyu, a 5. The butcher, 25, waxed mustache, looks like he's never held a hammer, eyes Demetrio's worn flannel and work boots. Butcher, condescending. Sir, that's $160 a pound. We have some very nice chuck roast on sale if... Demetrio, not blinking. I didn't ask for chuck roast, son. I asked for the Wagyu, 4 pounds, thick cut, trim the fat but leave enough for the sear. Butcher swallows, nods, reaches into case. As he weighs the meat, Demetrio's mind drifts. 8 months ago. Kathleen in her final months, thin, pale, sitting at the island. Demetrio holding her hand. Demetrio to Kyle standing nearby. The name-brand medication is $400. The insurance capped out, but it works. The generic makes her nauseous. Kyle checking his Rolex. $400? That's ridiculous. Just get the generic. Same chemical compound. She won't know the difference. We're tight this month. I have country club fees. He bought a watch worth $20,000, but wouldn't pay for painless nights. Demetrio bought the generic, held Kathleen's hand while she vomited until dawn. Back to present. Butcher, wrapping meat. 4 pounds, $640. Demetrio. I'll take it. He throws the package in cart, lands with heavy thud. Next, produce section, specialty case. Black winter truffles imported from France, look like lumps of coal, smell like earth and musk. He picks up 3 jars, $80 per ounce. You want to be treated like a king, Kyle? I'll feed you like one, right before the guillotine drops. Finally, wine cellar at back of store, temperature controlled, quiet, smells of cork and oak. He walks past shelves of $20 bottles. Goes to locked cabinet, Scans labels until he finds it. Chateau Margaux, 1996, the year Courtney was born. He stares at the bottle through glass, remembers that year, holding her in the delivery room, her tiny hand gripping his finger, promising to build her a world where she'd never be unsafe. Worked double shifts for 20 years to keep that promise. This morning she watched her husband strike him, told him he was annoying. He waves down the sommelier. Sommelier, unlocking cabinet. Excellent choice, sir. A very complex vintage. Special occasion? Demetrio, taking bottle carefully. You could say that. I'm celebrating the end of an era. Cashier rings up items. Total, $1,432. Demetrio pulls out old leather wallet. Inside, a credit card he hasn't used in 5 years. Not linked to joint account Kyle monitors. Funded by consulting fees he'd saved quietly over the years. Card approved. Walking out, he spots a familiar face by the cheese counter. Tom Bailey, 62. Former construction foreman, barrel-chested, work-worn hands, the kind of guy who can read a blueprint better than most architects. Tom Demetrio Thomas? Jesus, is that you? Demetrio turns, forces a smile. Tom continued, seeing the bruise forming. Christ, Demetrio, what happened? You run into a steel beam? Demetrio. Something like that. Household accident. Tom looks skeptical but knows the code. Don't push a man about his scars. He looks in Demetrio's card instead. Tom, Wagyu beef, Chateau Margaux, truffles. Hell, did you hit the lottery? Demetrio, just cooking dinner for some guests. Tom, leaning in. Hey, word on the street. Wellington Industries is looking for a seismic solution for their West Coast expansion. Your coupling patent. It's the only thing that passes the new California codes. That patent must be worth a fortune now. Demetrio goes still. The patent. He'd invented it 25 years ago. Sat on it, refining it, making it perfect. Never sold it. Kyle doesn't even know it exists. Demetrio, distracted. Not selling it, Tom. Tom, why not? You're retired. Cash out. Go to Hawaii. Demetrio, meeting his eyes. I'm not holding on to it either. I'm giving it away. Tom. What? To who? Demetrio. To the only people who still understand the value of a solid foundation. You'll hear about it on the news tomorrow, Tom. Tonight, I'm having a dinner party. He pats Tom's shoulder, pushes cart toward exit. Demetrio continued. I'm serving justice. Demetrio unloads groceries with precision. The kitchen island is no longer a place for family breakfasts. It's a workbench. He lays out ingredients like blueprints. Wagyu on wooden board, marbling white against deep red. Truffles in glass bowl. Chateau Margaux breathing. He sharpens his chef's knife on a whetstone. Shin. Rhythmic. The sound of a shovel hitting gravel. The sound of work. Tests the edge on paper. Slices through without sound. Perfect. He starts chopping shallots for the reduction. Hands move automatically. Eyes on the microwave clock. 6:15 p.m. They'll be here soon. Places cast iron skillet on burner. Cranks flame to high. You don't cook Wagyu on low heat. You need violence. Thermal shock to sear the outside while keeping inside tender, like tempering steel. Too gentle, it fails. Drops a knob of butter in pan. It hisses, foams, turns nut brown in seconds. He's about to lay the steaks down when... Front door opens, too early. Kyle said 7. Footsteps, light, clicking on marble, high heels. Courtney, interior, mansion, foyer/kitchen, continuous. Courtney walks in, stops dead seeing the wall of smoke and smell. Courtney, waving hand, coughing. Dad, what on earth are you doing? Demetrio, not turning around, basting steaks. Cooking dinner, Courtney, like Kyle asked. She walks closer, heels clicking, peers over his shoulder, eyes widen, seeing the meat, the wine, the truffles. Courtney, this is Wagyu beef. And that wine? Dad, that's $1,000 bottle. Where did you get money for this? She steps back, face twisting with suspicion. Courtney continued. Did you steal from Kyle? Did you go into his office and take his credit card? Dad, if you stole from him after this morning, he's going to call the police. You know he will. Demetrio plates the steaks. Lets them rest. Demetrio, calm. I didn't steal anything, Courtney. This is my money, my savings. Courtney, laughing harshly. Savings? What savings? You spent everything on this house. Demetrio. I had a little put away for a rainy day or a special occasion. She looks at the feast. Suspicion morphs into something else. Pity, triumph. Courtney, softening. Why? Why spend it all now? Demetrio, pouring wine to taste it. Because this is it, Courtney. This is the last of it. A farewell dinner. Her face softens completely. She interprets his words exactly as he intended. Thinks he's giving up. Spending last dollars before moving to nursing home or studio apartment. Thinks he's bowing out. Courtney, sickly sweet tone. Oh, Dad, you finally get it. This arrangement, it just wasn't working. It's better this way. For everyone. Demetrio. For everyone. Courtney. Yes, Kyle needs his space. We need privacy, and you need somewhere quieter, somewhere you don't have to worry about maintenance or bills. She reaches to touch his arm, but pulls back, seeing grease on sleeve. Courtney continued. It's the right decision, Dad. I'm proud of you for being sensible. Proud. She's proud he's making himself homeless. Courtney continued, brightening. Since it's a celebration, maybe I'll go change into something nicer. Smells amazing, Dad. Really. You outdid yourself. She trots out, practically skipping. Happy, relieved, her problem solving itself. Demetrio watches her go, feels coldness in his chest, the feeling of the last tie being severed. He turns back to stove, has a sauce to finish. Deglazes pan with splash of Margot, scrapes up brown bits, adds truffles, cream, whisks until dark and glossy. 6:55 p.m. Rumble of Porsche engine outside, slam of car doors, men laughing, front door opens. Kyle, OS, something smells expensive. Kyle walks in, loosening tie, flushed, excited. Behind him, Arthur Dawson, 52, shorter, rounder, suit too shiny, smile painted with oil, carrying leather briefcase. Kyle, looking at spread. Well, 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 look at this, Dawson. I told you the old man could cook. Dawson, sniffing air. Very impressive, Mr. Thomas. Didn't know you had it in you. Demetrio, wiping knife. I have a lot of surprises left in me, Mr. Dawson. Kyle, slapping Dawson's back. See, he's docile now, knows who the alpha is, points at Demetrio's bruise, darkened to deep purple. Kyle continued. That looks nasty, old man. Should put makeup on it. Takes away from the appetite. Demetrio, touching bruise. Number. I'll wear it. Reminds me why we're here. Kyle, shrugging. Suit yourself. Just don't bleed on the tablecloth. To Dawson, Kyle, Contidi. Pour yourself a drink. Old man will serve us in a minute. We'll eat, he'll sign, then we get back to business. Dawson, rubbing hands. Excellent. I have the notary seal ready. 2 minutes tops. They walk toward dining room, treating Demetrio like furniture, like help. Demetrio looks at clock. 7 p.m., right on cue. Doorbell rings. Kyle stops mid-stride, turns back, brow furrowed. Kyle, who's that? Demetrio, picking up platter of meat. I invited a couple of guests. Kyle, face reddening. Guests? I told you this was a private meeting, Demetrio. I don't want your drinking buddies eating my food. Demetrio, walking past him toward door. They're not from the Union Hall, Kyle, and it's not your food. It's mine. Kyle, hissing. Get rid of them, now! Demetrio ignores him, sets platter on dining table, walks to front door, unlocks deadbolt, opens door wide. Standing on porch, bathed in soft yellow entryway light, Robert Callahan. Tall, black wool coat, silver hair, face carved from granite, quiet, terrifying authority. Victoria Wellington. Elegant, sharp and tailored charcoal suit, eyes intelligent, piercing. Looks like she could buy and sell Kyle 10 times before breakfast. Kyle comes up behind Demetrio, ready to shout. Voice dies in his throat. He recognizes Victoria Sterling instantly. Face goes pale. Demetrio, stepping aside. Come in, dinner is served. Fade out. Victoria Wellington steps across the threshold, bringing Chicago's evening chill with her. Kyle freezes, mouth open, recognizing her instantly. His face drains of color. Victoria, extending hand. Good evening, you must be Kyle. Demetrio has told me so much about you. Kyle, stammering, forcing smile. Miss Wellington, I didn't expect, it's an honor. I follow your work very closely. His eyes dart to the large man in the dark suit. Kyle continued. And you are? Robert, voice a deep rumble. Robert, friend of Demetrio's. Courtney descends the stairs in her silk dress, stopping halfway. Courtney. Who are these people? Kyle, you said just Dawson. Kyle, rushing to her, hissing. We have important guests. This is Victoria Wellington, CEO of Wellington Industries. Courtney's eyes widen. She looks at her father with confusion. Courtney. Dad, how do you know Victoria Wellington, Demetrio? Victoria was my best student. I taught her everything about keeping buildings standing when the world tries to knock them down. Victoria. Your father is a legend in the industry, Mrs. Bradford. I assumed you knew. Arthur Dawson steps forward from the dining room, extending a sweaty hand toward Robert. Dawson. Arthur Dawson, attorney at law. I handle all of Kyle's business affairs. Robert looks at the hand but doesn't take it. Robert Dawson. I've seen your name on some paperwork recently. Interesting filings. Demetrio, interrupting. Shall we eat? The meat is perfect. They take seats around the mahogany table. Demetrio at the foot, Robert and Victoria flanking him. Kyle and Courtney at the head, Dawson sandwiched awkwardly between. It looks like a tribunal. Kyle pours the Chateau Margaux with shaking hands. Kyle raising glass. To old friends and new opportunities. Robert doesn't raise his glass, neither does Victoria. Demetrio raising his. To clarity and to the structural integrity of truth. Demetrio returns from the kitchen with the silver platter, lifts the cloche, perfectly seared Wagyu beef. The aroma fills the room. Kyle, to Victoria, cutting his meat. Your conservative approach to the West Coast expansion is quaint. But in this market, hesitation is death. Victoria, calmly. In my industry, we prefer deliberate. When pouring millions of tons of concrete, you measure twice, pour once. Mistakes aren't just numbers, they're lives. Kyle, dismissive, that's old thinking. That's brick and mortar mindset. Value isn't about what you build, it's about the narrative you create. He gestures toward Demetrio without looking. Kyle continued. My father-in-law spent 40 years mixing concrete. He doesn't understand that real masters don't get their hands dirty. Victoria, leaning forward. The most important person isn't the architect or financier, it's the structural engineer. Your office is in Wellington Tower, 42nd floor, correct? Kyle, proudly, corner office, best view in the city. Victoria. That building won 3 international safety awards because of the seismic joint coupling system in the foundation. Revolutionary design. Do you know who designed it? Kyle, laughing. Some German guy, Japanese firm. It's just plumbing in the walls. Demetrio stands slowly, walks to Kyle's end of the table. Demetrio. It wasn't German or Japanese, Kyle. The man who keeps your 42nd floor from crashing down is standing right in front of you. Silence falls over the table. Robert clears his throat, a deep rumble that commands attention. Robert. Kyle, I find your theories on creating value out of thin air very interesting. Recently, a pattern crossed my desk. Massive short positions against Wellington Industries, executed through Cayman shell companies. The IP address traces to a suburban Chicago residence. Kyle's smile vanishes. Kyle, I don't know what you're talking about. I have a diversified portfolio. Robert. The SEC calls it market manipulation, insider trading based on fabricated information. Kyle, voice rising. I'm a legitimate venture capitalist. Robert. The warrant was signed this morning. Kyle's hand trembles. His crystal fork slips, hits the plate with a sharp crack, bounces, and falls spinning onto the table. Points directly at his heart. Kyle, whisper. Who are you? Demetrio walks to the sideboard, picks up the second silver platter, and places it in front of Kyle. Demetrio. He's the man who's going to introduce you to your new reality. Robert. Open it. Kyle's hand shakes as he lifts the cloche. No food underneath, just documents in a USB drive. He picks up the top sheet, a printed chat log between him and Dawson. K. Bradford. He's asking questions again, becoming a liability. A. Dawson. We can file for conservatorship, claim dementia, put him in that state facility. Once they medicate him, he'll just be a drooling vegetable. Kyle drops the paper. Courtney reads it over his shoulder, her face going white. Courtney, whispering. You were going to lock him away? You said luxury assisted living. Kyle ignores her, frantically shuffling through documents, trading records showing his massive short position, the forged 401k withdrawal, proof of everything. Kyle, screaming, standing. This is illegal. You recorded me without consent. This is inadmissible. He grabs Dawson by the lapels. Kyle continued. Dawson, do something. Sue him. This violates my privacy rights. Demetrio. You gave up your rights when you committed crimes in my house, Kyle. Kyle, desperate. I didn't forge anything. You're senile. You're confused. Robert stands slowly, pulling out his badge. Robert. It ceased being a civil matter when you wired stolen funds across state lines, securities fraud involving a publicly traded company. He pulls out handcuffs. The metal clicks. Robert, continued. Kyle Bradford, you are under arrest. Kyle stares at the handcuffs, then looks at Courtney, really looks at her. Kyle, voice breaking. Robert, please, I'll confess to everything. I'll plead guilty. I'll serve time. His voice cracks. Kyle, continued. But please don't destroy Courtney. She didn't know. She's innocent. This was all me. I used her position without her knowledge. She's a victim too. A moment of humanity. He's trying to protect his wife. Robert, to Courtney. Mrs. Bradford, you knew your husband was betting against your employer. That's a conflict of interest. Victoria, cold. Your badge was deactivated 10 minutes ago. You're fired for cause. Courtney looks at her father, tears streaming. Courtney. Daddy, please, tell them I didn't know. Demetrio kneels so they're eye level. Demetrio, you saw him hit me, Courtney. You watched him strike me and told me I was annoying him. You chose. He stands, pulling out a folded document. Demetrio, continued. This house is held in trust. I'm the sole trustee. This is your notice to vacate, 24 hours. Courtney, screaming. You're kicking me out? Your own daughter? Demetrio, walking away. Love without boundaries isn't love, it's just fuel for someone else's greed. Robert, into radio. Move in. The front door bursts open. FBI tactical team floods the foyer. FBI agents. Federal agents, nobody move. Dawson immediately raises his hands. Dawson, I'll cooperate. I'll testify. I have emails. Kyle panics, tries to run. Agents tackle him, slam him face down onto the table. His face lands in the cold wagyu. Handcuffs click behind his back. Kyle, face against tablecloth, looking at Demetrio. Please, I can pay it back. Just need time. I can fix this. Demetrio. There's no fixing this. The foundation cracked. The building's coming down. Agents drag Kyle out, weeping. Courtney tries to run after him but is held back. Dawson is led out behind him, head down. The room falls silent, except for Courtney's soft sobbing. Victoria approaches Demetrio, pulling an envelope from her blazer. Victoria. Unfinished business. You remember consulting on Wellington Tower in '98? You took equity instead of payment, 12% of founding shares. You never cashed dividends, just reinvested. She places the envelope on the table. Victoria continued. This is just this year's dividend, $3.2 million. You still own the stock. Demetrio opens it, stares at the check. $3,200,000. Demetrio, throat tight. I could have bought peace. Victoria. You can't buy peace from a man like Kyle. He was a black hole. You needed a boundary, not money. She touches his shoulder. Victoria, continued. And we want to license your seismic patent for the West Coast expansion, 8 to 10 million over 5 years. You saved my company tonight. Thank you. She leaves. Robert lingers. Robert. You okay, Uncle Demetrio? Demetrio, sitting heavily. I just destroyed my daughter's life. She'll never forgive me. Robert. You didn't destroy it. Kyle did. You stopped enabling it. She won't go to jail if she doesn't testify for him. She'll start over. Demetrio. What will I do with this money? He looks at Kathleen's photo on the mantel. Demetrio continued. I'll build something. A center for elderly victims of family abuse, legal help, medical care, safety, the Kathleen Thomas Center. Robert, smiling. She'd be proud. Robert leaves. Demetrio stands alone in the dining room. The table is chaos, spilled wine, cold food, scattered documents. He pulls out his cracked glasses, puts them on, sees the world through a fractured lens. Outside, a car starts. Courtney leaving. The engine fades into the distance. Demetrio walks through the empty house, past photos of young Courtney, past her bedroom, past the nursery kept for grandchildren who'll never come. He stands before Kathleen's photo. Demetrio. I did what you'd want, Katie. I stopped letting them walk on me. But God, it hurts. Is this what justice feels like? Because it tastes like ashes. 6 months later. Groundbreaking ceremony. Sign reads, Kathleen Thomas Center for Elder Protection. Demetrio in a hard hat holding a shovel. Victoria and Robert beside him. Press cameras flashing. Cut to prison visiting room. Kyle in an orange jumpsuit, gaunt, haunted. Courtney sits across from him. Kyle, I'm sorry for everything. Courtney, sliding divorce papers. Sorry doesn't fix broken foundations. She walks out. Kyle drops his head into his hands. Doorbell rings. Demetrio opens it. Courtney stands there in jeans and a Target sweater, hair in a simple ponytail. She looks real. Courtney. I got a job. Receptionist. $18 an hour. Got a studio apartment. I'm paying my own bills now. Silence. Courtney continued, tears forming. I don't expect forgiveness. I just wanted you to know I understand now. What you did, why you did it. I was a parasite. You were right. I'm sorry. Demetrio's face softened slightly. Demetrio. Would you like coffee? Courtney, hopeful. Really? Demetrio. We'll start small. Coffee once a week. See where it goes. Courtney, first genuine smile. I'd like that. She steps inside. Demetrio alone, watching the foundation being poured. He pulls out his old cracked glasses, looks through them one last time, then tosses them into the wet concrete. They sink, becoming part of the foundation. Demetrio, V.O. I learned that love without boundaries isn't love, it's fuel for someone else's greed. But I also learned that justice without mercy is just revenge. The strongest structures flex. They absorb shock. They give, but don't break. I built a fortress to protect the vulnerable, but I left a door open for those willing to walk through it. That's what real strength is, knowing when to stand firm and when to forgive. Camera pulls back, revealing the construction site against Chicago's skyline. Title card. The Kathleen Thomas Center opened in 2025. It has helped over 1,200 elderly abuse victims regain control of their lives and assets. Final quote. The taste of justice is astringent, but the aftertaste depends on whether you serve it with mercy.